Good afternoon, everybody. We're back for the grand finale of the virtual reading series. And today we have with us the legendary, we're going to claim that in advance, the legendary Sakari Milan. And I am beyond thrilled to have her with us today. You all, if you tune in this morning, we made these announcements this morning, but I'm going to make them again because I feel like they're important to make. So first, one of our prior readers, Professor Jomo Mutegi, has made made shirts for Black Kids Read, which is his organization and business. So his website is blackkidsread.net, and the shirts are available on his site for purchase. They come in black, navy blue, dark gray, light gray, and white, and they feature the Black Kids Read logo. If you check my Facebook page, you will see information about how you can purchase the shirts. You can also find information on his Facebook page, which is called Black Kids Read on Facebook, also on Instagram under the same name. We want to give a shout out to Future Aliments, who's one of our co-sponsors. Future Aliments is currently collecting $20 per child to buy school supplies and backpacks per child. So if you donate $20 through Cash App, that $20 will be used to purchase book bags and school supplies for our children in Alamance County. And you can Cash App them at $Future Aliments. So that's $FUTUREALAMANCE. And if you have questions, you can reach out to me, but you're also more than welcome to contact Dewana Bigelow if you know Dewana, because she is working with Seneca Rogers to organize those efforts. So we want to wish them the best of luck in getting school supplies together for our youth. I also want to give a shout out to Tyrona Hooker, Lexi Roberts, and the rest of the staff over at Alamance Achieves. They're doing some wonderful community work. Make sure you check out their website and see what they're doing. Also want to give a shout out to the Kia Foundation, another one of our co-sponsors. Monica Gauthier, who read to us in the past, is of course the mastermind behind the Kia Foundation, and she is doing amazing things. They recently published their beautiful website, so we want to shout out Monica and encourage you all to check that out, and to reach out to Monica to learn more about teen dating violence and domestic violence awareness and what you can do to educate our youth and educate our community about this devastating trend that is continuing to be on the rise, especially in the state of North Carolina. So now that I have announced all those things, I want to, of course, mention our literacy resource highlight again, which is, of course, the Alamance Achieves Resources for Learning at Home. So we've been talking about this website for the last 2 weeks. I'm going to continue to talk to you all about it, even after the virtual reading series is over, because it's phenomenal. So if you go to www.alamanceachieves.org/learning-resources, you will find all kind of helpful information for your children and even for some of you parents about learning from home and what type of activities you can do even when the children are back in school. And so it's perfect for summertime, it's perfect for COVID times, it's perfect for virtual learning. It's just a lot of wonderful resources. You can also find great information on their website about different activities you can do with kids, different apps for your phone that parents can use to help their children with literacy and comprehension. And they have some great information about different services you can sign up for to get free books for your kids. So we encourage you to go to alamanceachieves.org and check out the different things that they have available. Not just the learning resources, but the literacy resources, the comprehension resources, all of it is really, really great information. And so now I'm going to try to contain my excitement. So we have the one and only Sakari Milan with us. And I'm going to read her bio. It's not going to do her justice, but this is the bio she gave me, y'all. Now, after she talks to us a little bit, you're going to understand that she is way more than this bio, but we're going to just do the bio for now, okay? Sakari Milan is an alumni of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, go Tar Heels, who studied global studies and public policy. She graduated in May 2020 during a tumultuous time in history, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the continual widespread racial injustice. While in solitude, Sakari was able to complete her first literacy works and introduce them to the world. She was inspired to write The Tales of Camellia Bee due to the lack of Black representation in her studies throughout her crucial developmental ages and beyond. She is valiant in her efforts to awaken the system and rewrite history. Milan enjoys writing sweet, fun, action-packed, poignant children's stories that teach, impact, and uplift each reader. Her characters are clever, fearless, and adventurous seekers of the truth. As a new author during a crucial moment in history where racism and division is prevailing, she hopes that The Tales of Camellia Bee will encourage our youth to claim the identities and cultural legacies that align with who they are. that shape who they are. She acknowledges inequality is deeply entrenched into the system, but believes education is the key. She says knowing the past opens the door to the future, and every school in America should have the Tales of Camellia B for learning. Milan understands that she will face challenges uncovering the hidden truths in history, although oftentimes uncomfortable to hear. She believes it is necessary for change. So with that being said, I'm going to play this wonderful video that Sakari has shared with us, and then we will start with our interview and our questions as soon as the video is done playing. So you all hold on just a minute.
Hi everyone, my name is Sakari Milan and I am the author and creator of the Tales of Camellia B, the Sea Surfers. Welcome to Storytime. The Tales of Camellia B is about a 10-year-old African-American girl and her friends who venture back in time around the world discovering hidden and unknown truths in Black history. Come along with me and Camellia as we go on some fun-filled adventures. Let's open up the book and open up history. It was Friday evening, Camellia's favorite time of the week. On this day, she and Eli went to hear Grandma speak. They quickly gobbled down Daddy's blueberry pie before they grabbed their night bags and waved, "Goodbye!" Grandma always had the best stories to share. The history lessons Camellia learned at school could not compare. Camellia grabbed the popcorn and gave Eli a plate. The three of them sat around the fire as they ate.
My teacher said, "Tomorrow's Christopher Columbus Day," Eli said. "I have to write a story on the history books we read." "They're still calling it that?" Grandma sighed.
"What else would it be called?" Camellia replied. Grandma sat up, took off her glasses, and looked them straight in the eyes. She said,
"Pay close attention and open your ears wide. Many before Columbus sailed the Great Sea. Our ancestors came before him, although many will disagree."
Camellia closed her eyes and thought about how fun it would have been. She took a deep breath and let her imagination take her for a spin. Long before 1492, African people sailed the ocean blue. In 1311, the Malians were led by King Abu Bakari, who ruled the largest kingdom on earth, the Empire of Mali. I call them the Sea Surfers because they built ships out of trees. They could battle the waves and navigate the Great Sea. The Malian people were incredibly smart. They knew so much about everything, even religion, math, and art. At home, they grew crops up to 20 inches high and recorded the meaning of every single star in the sky. They created calendars to keep count of the days and sewed fancy cloth in all different types of ways. The Malian people had a lot to share. Keeping it to themselves was just simply not fair. One day, King Abu Bakari decided to leave his throne and load 2,000 ships. The king yelled to the men,
"Prepare yourselves for a very long trip."
The men climbed aboard with their tall, pointy spears and fought through the waves with no fright or fears. They sailed and sailed by the king's command until they spotted from afar a foreign land. They had journeyed to a place their forefathers had already been. Some of the native people there were considered to be kin.
"Look," said the king. "Quickly, gather our things."
The crew greeted the native people who had lived there for centuries on end. They traded resources and gifts while making new friends. The Malians and natives got along very well. They each had so many stories to share and tell. The chief told stories of the Africans who had come before. He showed them the writings they left while they explored. The natives were skilled in more ways than one. They had civilizations and worshiped the sun. The chief explained how much they loved Mother Earth. He said,
We, the people, must protect her worth.
The natives and Malians shared dances and chants. They even healed each other's wounds with herbs and plants. While some of the Malians traveled north and south, extending their stay, the rest said their goodbyes and sailed away. The Malians left a long trail of their existence behind that eventually, centuries later, explorers would find. Eli jumped up and screamed,
I want to be a sea surfer. Let's go to the beach.
Grandma chuckled. You can, just as your ancestors were. It is not out of reach.
But Grandma, why do they say Columbus was the first to find the Americas? Camellia asked.
Grandma replied, Well, honey, everyone has their unique version of the past.
Columbus knew he wasn't the first to discover the land. He himself learned that firsthand. He even wrote about it in his letters to Isabella the Queen, because all of the evidence he witnessed could not be unseen. You see, the natives never forgot their very first guest. Black-skinned people have come before, they expressed. Our ancestors were the first to meet the natives, who were already around. And the Americas were never discovered, because what is not lost cannot be found. Thank you for joining me for Storytime. Parents and teachers, I challenge you to share this critical moment in history with your children in your classrooms on this Christopher Columbus Day. All right, see you next time.
Well, that was just amazing and all of the greatness that I anticipated. So first, thank you, Sakari, for being here with us today. I'm so thrilled to have you here. So
Having me.
of course, of course. So talk to me about what made you feel like The Tales of Camellia Bee was a necessary book to write.
Yeah, I mean, we can just go back to while I was growing up, in the education system. I was a reader. I loved to read. And I would go to the library looking for books and to read about my people. And all I could find were books about slavery or the civil rights movement. And I always was searching for more than that. I knew Black people had so much more history, so many more stories to tell. And I did not want to root my identity in that experience, in trauma, or fighting for rights that no one else thought we were worthy of. And so that was always in me, an urge to tell our stories. But like I said, when COVID hit and we were all in this moment of stillness, but meanwhile, our people were still being traumatized and killed in the streets, it really infuriated me. It frustrated me. And I had a hard time coping with it just by posting and spreading awareness. As Black people, it begins to grow old, having to constantly scream and beg someone to consider your life worthy enough just to walk down the street. And so I took to writing and creating in order to teach our Black children specifically that they come from more than a history of trauma, but also to show other people who we are, and to reach children at a young developmental age, all children, so that they can understand who their peers are, where they come from, that we all have contributed to history, and that Black people have left their mark on history, their footprint, and have done wonderful, tremendous things, from being inventors to explorers, just heroes. And that's basically what I'm doing. I'm writing about Black heroes in which everyone can learn from. And so, yeah, that's basically what inspired me.
And I can sense that Adrian has some questions boiling up So Adrian, what you got?
Still gushing over like the illustrations because they're so beautiful.
Cute.
I love your illustrator is like phenomenal, and the usage of color is great. Just it's great. How I guess when you were going through the process, did you I guess did you have an idea about how you wanted things to look, and just like who were any of the characters modeled after anybody in your life in any type of way?
Yes, actually, completely. So me and my illustrator is Raphael Sam. He's actually out of Brazil, which is amazing because he could really relate to like, indigenous culture. And so we worked very closely together, kind of trying to figure out how we wanted everything to look because I wanted it to be a very immersive experience for the reader. And kids, they love colors, they love the little things in illustrations. As you can see, like in the sea part, where like the fish is kind of at Eli, which is her little brother, Camilla's little brother, his toes. It's the little things that I wanted to kind of like use to intrigue the reader. But actually, Camellia is modeled after me when I was a little girl. I usually have like very curly hair. It's braided right now, but I wanted to demonstrate the versatility really too of a Black woman's hair, a Black girl's hair. And, throughout my my upcoming books, she'll wear her hair differently because that's something that definitely needs to be addressed and shown to society that like we can do it all, and the beauty in that. And then Eli is actually modeled after my younger brother, so we're very close, but we do different skin tone like Camellia and Eli do. And so I did that to show that Black people have such a range and in skin tone, and that's beautiful, and the beauty of that. So yeah, and then actually Grits, the dog, is also a I guess like a representation of my dog, because the cool thing about Grits that will later come up in my upcoming cartoon series is that he loves bananas. And so my dog loves bananas. Like that's like her favorite treat. So I was like, how cool would that be for Grits in the cartoon and the book to really be stimulated by a fruit, right? It's interesting but unique. So yeah.
Were there any other hidden messages within the book that you hope that readers would get that maybe they don't typically get on first look or read?
Hidden messages. I feel like they're kind of, but not really. They aren't necessarily hidden. I think everything's kind of laid out clearly. But what I am trying to communicate in this book is that there were visitors, explorers prior to Christopher Columbus, right? This was kind of a shot at Christopher Columbus Day in a way. To acknowledge that history is not acknowledging, is not recognizing all of those who came prior to him and who actually came and met the native indigenous people and did not rob or steal or murder, right? And so what I'm trying to explain here as well is that African people were and are not primitive, like they are painted to be in the education system and in society in general. And so I'm trying to portray that, we were and we are kings and queens and civilized people. And that's very important for children to understand at a young age, because when I was growing up in the education system, all of my teachers, really, society in itself painted Africa to be this primitive, undeveloped place where we created civilization. We birthed it. We are the root of everything. We are the first people. We are the first royalty figures. We have had influence all over the world. So I feel like I tried to paint that and really communicate that message through a child's eyes in the most soft, non-insulting, but clear way possible. And so I hope that children, and the children that I have read it to, I've done like a few like school readings and things like that. And they're like, getting it, which is good. And then the parents, get it even more. So that's the mission here, is to really unravel that and have them develop off of that pretense.
And I think you did a beautiful job with your message and the many nuggets that are within it. I especially love Grandma's response at the end. Everybody has their own version of history, and that's true.
Right.
It kind of reminds me of the three different versions of the truth, right? Their version, the other person's version, and the actual factual truth. So thank you for this beautiful, beautiful work. I cannot wait to see what else you come up with, because again, I am just in love with the whole book. It's so good.
Thank you so much, so much.
So I also agree about the illustrations. Earlier, before we started the live, Adrian was having a whole moment about the hair. And the hair is just, I love the hair. And I love that just in doing the illustrations as you had them done is going to speak to a child, and they're going to see themselves. And it's not because other people haven't tried, it's just because you did it differently. Grandma is probably my favorite character. And it's everything she said.
Yes.
Everything that came out of Grandma's mouth was just spot on. And I think for a lot of us, it matches like probably one or more of our grandparents and the types of things that they would say to us when we would ask these types of questions. And so I really appreciate having her in the book and having her speak truth to power in the book in her own little way. So you mentioned cartoon series, Sakari. So
Yeah.
what can you tell us about that?
Yes, I can't say too much right now, but we are in current negotiations right now with some pretty big networks. And I've collaborated with a really great woman who will soon come to the surface to produce this cartoon. And so there will be a Tales of Camellia Bee cartoon, and it will be exactly what I'm writing about for probably children like 7 and up. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about it, because I wanted to not only reach children through literature, but also on the screen, because that's how people are truly impacted nowadays, like programming. And so what I like to say is I'm on a mission to positively program our children. I feel like our children really get negatively impacted and programmed by a lot of the things we see on TV that's anti-Black or just anti-people of color or whatever your identity is. And so I want to produce only content that really uplifts, and so that's what I plan to do with the cartoon. And it should be moving pretty soon, quickly. So I'll make that announcement very soon, and definitely update everyone so you guys can look out for it.
Wonderful. I'm so excited for you, because to see this is just, I can already imagine how wonderful it's going to be. So you said that you were thinking about positive programming, and I also want to throw the word honest in there, because what I really appreciate about your work is that I can tell that you did research going into this children's book. It wasn't just like a half effort to say like we're more than this, but you gave names, you gave experiences. And when you read the title, you wouldn't even expect that to be what this is going to be. So I think that is phenomenal. The play on words, the sea surfers, just amazing.
Thank you.
Anytime. So talk to me about the best compliment that you've received about your work thus far.
Ooh, that is a good question. Wow. Let me dig in my compliment box. I would say I think the best compliment I've received so far is definitely from the parents, especially when I do these readings with schools. I oftentimes have parents who reach out to me and thank me for telling true stories, real stories, and stories that their child can learn history, but in a simple format, in an exciting, adventurous way. and that their kid really feels like they're with Camellia and they want to know. Oh my gosh, my heart was so warmed. Someone reached out to me and said that their cousin called them looking for the next book. They're like, I want to go Camellia to the next, place. And so that really, really motivates me, to keep going. And these are children from all different backgrounds, race, ethnicity. And so that matters to me that I'm reaching everyone, because, it's really molding perspectives and in a crucial, developmental age for them. So yeah, I would say that's like probably the best compliments. I kind of gave you a few, but that I've received thus far.
So I think I can speak for Adrian and myself when I say that we want to go on the next adventure too. Just
Oh yeah, I love it.
And no, we're not children, but it's okay.
Right.
So I will also say that I think that I could definitely understand why parents would appreciate this, because some of these are very hard conversations to have until your child reaches a certain age. But because there's so much programming around race and history and current racist practices, as a parent, you can't not tell your child, right? But how do you tell them? And so I feel like this is a wonderful way to do it, and do it in a way where the child is not going to be fearful or triggered after the conversation, but that they just digest it and understand it in a different way. So I think your approach is dope. I think that the way you went about this is amazing. Where can our readers and our viewers find you on social media and get updates about, the cartoon series and the phenomenal woman that you worked with that you can't tell us who it is?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Sakari Milan. So it's SAKARIMILAN. I'm also on Facebook, and you can keep up with the Tales of Camellia Bee YouTube. And the Tales of Camellia Bee has its own social media, and that's just the Tales of Camellia Bee on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So yes, you can keep up with me there. I should be making the announcement pretty soon, hopefully. So everyone can be in the know, and then you can also just keep up with the upcoming books as well.
So you heard books, Adrian, there's going to be more.
Yes.
Get your wallet ready. Okay.
I like spending money, so
yeah, we're gonna go shopping.
Yay!
Place to spend it.
So Sakari, I just want to thank you so much for being here, for reading to us, for even having this vision and this purpose in your life, because, child, you are necessary. And I am beyond ecstatic that the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill is what brought you to this point, because, child, let me tell you.
Yes, thank you.
We've been catching a rough rap here lately, so I'm glad to see that at least two of us are trying to change the world.
Right.
Ridiculous. Okay. So with that being said, I had promised our viewers that I would give a recap about the virtual reading series, and I did not forget the recap. In fact, I even typed it up so that I would remember all my bullet points. So I just want to thank everybody that has been involved in this process, from a random conversation with myself and Adrian Barr, to reporters with the news stations, with the Times News newspaper, with the Alamance Chiefs blog. I just want to thank everybody who's been involved in this process, who trusted in this process, to all the people who stepped in, who stepped up, to every co-sponsor, to every reader, to every author, to every community reader that we've had grace this space. I just can't tell you how thankful I am. So what started out as a 1-month event that was supposed to be for the month of February. Shout out to Tamara Kersey, because Tamara said this was just going to be the month of February. And Tamara, it's July, baby. So you didn't tell me the truth now, because you said February, all right? So this reading series has lasted for 25 weeks. We have had 10 overall co-sponsors, 25 readers, 22 of them were authors, 4 of them were youth authors, and we've had 4 community readers, some of which have come back multiple times. We've had 28 books read to us in English, Spanish. We've had books read that were about Indigenous people, American Indian people, those experiencing autism, children with disabilities, and every single book that was read featured at least one child of color. We featured LGBTQ positive youth, non-binary youth, and another book that we read focused specifically on children who were in foster care. We've had 3 events in Spanish, one of which included one of our youth authors. We've talked about yoga poses, breathing exercises, patience with and consideration for others, and we've even talked about hand washing in the pandemic. We've been featured on WFMY, in the Times News, and on multiple websites. We created a summer reading list with the books that were read as part of this series, and that reading list was posted on my Facebook earlier today, so you should check it out if you're looking for gifts that you would like to purchase for youth as they go back to school or even for Christmas. And because of the conversations that have been had on this virtual reading series, there have been countless books donated to Little Free Libraries in Alamance County. So with all that being said, thank you for tuning in to the virtual reading series. This is the last one for 2021. Who knows what's going to happen in 2022? Adrienne is not letting me step away as easily as I thought she would. So it's possible that we'll be back next year. But I just have to, again, thank every single author for taking a chance on a random person sending you a Zoom link, and showing up and reading and being the highlight to so many children. We're having our series played in summer camps, at daycares, and even at some schools. So to the teachers out there, to my cousins that are at daycare centers, to Genesis Child Development Center in the wonderful Davina Woods, I just want to thank you all for making sure that our kids see this and that they see themselves. Yes. So with that being said, it's been a great summer, y'all.
One more thing.
Oh, Lord.
So if y'all don't know, if you don't haven't been paying attention to Facebook, tomorrow is Sharia's birthday. Yes, I did it. I'm putting you on blast and on the spot. Why? Because I love you. So if you guys will go ahead and throw in the chat, happy birthday. Go ahead and blow her up. Give her some great big Leo energy. Thank you for everything that you've done over this, 25 weeks. Thank you just for showing all your talents, your Leo graces, and for providing this platform and just being a dope, phenomenal woman. So shout out to the birthday girl. Okay.
So thank you, Sharia, and thank you, Adrienne, for really, providing this platform for us authors as well to share our work so that we can reach our kids. So it means the world to all of us. I know it does.
Yeah.
Well, you all are trying to make me cry today, so we're going to end this so that I can get myself together. Okay. But it's been a blast, y'all. Take care, be safe, wash your hands, and remember to show compassion and patience for others and for yourself. Y'all have a good one. Bye.